Hey guys, it's Jazz once again. Can you hear me and see me okay? I'm streaming from the inside of the bedroom of my mansion here. What, you didn't know I had a mansion? Well, yeah, I do. I'm famous. I mean, just the other day, Sylvester Stallone liked my comment on Instagram, which I posted about on my Twitter. Follow me on my Twitter and all the socials, link in the description. So you know I'm a big deal. Honestly, I didn't expect it. I got so happy that I was dancing a lot like he is back there. Seriously, though, I really do believe I am famous in my own way, not in the traditional sense. I mean, I'm pretty well known wherever I go if I happen to spend a significant amount of time there. Like school, for instance. A lot of people knew me or knew of me. I was known as the shyest girl in school often. I even got an award for it one time before. You want to see? Hold on. See, just one of my many awards since I was one of the smarter pants kids. And maybe I'll show you guys the rest of my awards one day. And yeah, I don't know who the hell this Jalen girl is either, but she has my last name. Got all scratched up though. But yeah, being famous has its ups and downs, and today I'll tell you more about the downside of being famous. Other than the paparazzi telling me, I have also experienced a bit of stalking. I just found myself in pretty peculiar situations. I'll tell you some stories I remember while trying my best to keep it lighthearted, okay? Also, before I start, I just wanted to add you don't necessarily have to be famous or attractive or anything to be stalked. Anyone, regardless of their age or sex or race or anything, can become a victim of stalking or unwanted attention. So, you watching should also be wary of how you move both online and offline. Be careful of your surroundings. And don't do like I did in some of these stories. So, first up is the story that has to deal with the thumbnail. Yes, the thumbnail has a backstory. Well, let's call it the popcorn incident. It was probably one of the more unique experiences I had, but I remember I had just gotten back from class. I was living on the old on campus apartments at the time, and I used to ride a bike before I broke it from riding it too hard. I'm pretty sure I was the only person on campus with that specific bike, but anyways, I had parked my bike on the iron railing on the stairs that I used to go up to my apartment on the second floor. I went into my room, put down my things, and then I went back outside to do something. Now, I can't exactly remember what it was that I went back outside to do. Throw out the trash, maybe? I can't really recall on that part. My memory is kind of fuzzy, so sorry about that. All I remember is that I didn't get back on my bike, so I must have done something that was nearby. And I don't think it took me all that long either to do what I had to do. After I finished, I walked back to the apartment, and then as I was getting closer, I started to notice something. There was something in my bike basket. I started to slow down walking, and then as I reached my bike, I reached inside the basket and picked up this little black bag of popcorn. The same kind I was using in the thumbnail, except it was the smaller version of that, which I couldn't find in the store, so I used the big bag. But anyways, oh, and unlike the thumbnail, I didn't also get a ransom letter. If I did, maybe the alarm bells would have went off in my head saying, "Hey, this isn't normal behavior." But then again, knowing me at the time, I might have just would have laughed it off. I was a very ignorant girl, but my ignorance saved me from a lot, honestly. And my guardian angels too, I guess, if you believe in that type of stuff, anyways. But yeah, when I got the popcorn, I was so bewildered. I was like, who did this? I thought to myself. I took a quick look around after that to see if I could find anybody, but nope, nobody. I just sort of stood there for a minute, kind of dumbfounded. A female housekeeper eventually passed, and I told her hello, and she told me hello back. Then I went back up to my room, popcorn in hand. As I got back into my room, I kept thinking, who could have done this? But ignorant me, instead of seeing it as creepy behavior, I saw it as somebody being nice. As I'm generally pretty sweet and friendly to others, so I thought somebody was just repaying the favor. And I went into my room, sat on my bed, and then I was staring at the bag, just thinking, should I open this or not? Should I really open this or not? And then a dark thought crossed my mind. I was like, what if somebody messed with this? Because there are tools out there that lets you mess with things and fix it up to where it doesn't look like it's been messed with. I knew that much. And I'm not going to go into specific detail of what those things could be because the ops might be watching, but yeah. But eventually I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I threw caution to the wind and opened the bag of popcorn and I ate it.
Bruh.
It was good. It was good. And silly me even was wondering if I was going to get popcorn the next day, but that didn't happen. I didn't get anything again after that. And I think I knew who did it too. A guy ex-friend of the nice guy variety, if you know what I mean. As he and only a few others knew where I lived on campus at the time, and that I lived alone too. But again, as I said earlier, I was the only one on campus riding that bike, so anyone could have spotted me riding it. And not to mention the campus is open, meaning it's more integrated with the city instead of like in its own little enclosure like a lot of the other campuses I've visited before or seen. So the culprit really could have been anybody. If he, my ex-friend, really did do that, he never told me. No one did. So it's still a mystery to
To
this
this
day.
day.
And if you ever find yourself in a situation like that, do not do what I did. Don't eat the food. Even if it's packaged, don't eat it. Just throw it away. Because, you don't know where it's coming from, who it's coming from, you know, better to be safe than sorry. And speaking of that ex friend, he did some pretty weird and unsettling things sometimes. I met him in high school, but he eventually transferred to my college a couple years after I enrolled. I always felt kind of off about him since high school, honestly, but I remained his friend until that stuff that happened in college. Especially after hearing how shit he treated another one of my friends after she showed she wasn't interested in him. So I had to break that off with him. But yeah, on campus one time before, he approached me and told me how he spotted me from like a mile away on campus and was calling out to me, but way too low for me to hear. He talks really, really soft, like way too soft, like it's not like a whisper, but it's like super, super low. Yeah, he called out to me. I didn't look around because I didn't hear him. I didn't see him. He thought I was ignoring him, which I was not, obviously. And again, that's the thing with our camp. It's big and busy and again, very open. So you never know who could be watching you. But yeah, after he told me that, I apologized for not seeing him or hearing him. He then expressed just how much it angered him and how he could have just harmed me for ignoring him. Yeah, that's totally not a scary thing to tell somebody. Luckily, he never actually did anything to me. And not long after that, I stopped talking to him entirely. And as you may have already guessed, yeah, he also had a crush on me too. Actually, I think several guys on campus did, so they could have been the popcorn culprits as well. Personally, I don't think they would do that, but you never know, really. And with me, usually, it's hard for me to even tell when a guy even likes me since I'll usually just talk myself out of it. If it's a guy I happen to like back, that is. I don't realize he has a crush on me until much, much, much later, like years later, if at all. And 9 times out of 10, guys are pretty intimidated by me to really say anything. So, yeah, I'm almost 100% certain that I had more than just my ex friend as a secret admirer. And it's usually guys close in age with me, but I also had an incident with a much older man, which we are about to get into. This one happened on a field trip where we went to this attractions theme park, though I mostly remember it for like the zoo area. I was with my friend, the same one that rejected my ex friend, funnily enough. Me and his friend happened to be in the same college program organization, similar to the one in my Animal Goddess Storytime video, which you should go check out if you haven't already. The college program organization, they were the ones who hosted the trip. All the divisions were invited on the trip, including a division I never really interacted with before until that day, the veterans. And at first, the trip was going pretty good. On the bus before we got to our destination, I successfully hacked into the Wi Fi, and it felt like I was playing Fallout in real life or something, which made me pretty hyped, not gonna lie. And once we got to the place, I was enjoying all the cool little sights we've seen so far. It wasn't until we got to the boat ride when things took a turn. My friend and I were just casually chatting, enjoying ourselves until a much older man approached us. And I could tell almost immediately, just by the way he was coming up to us, that he was about to try to be slick. He introduced himself and then asked us for our names, and then we introduced ourselves. And then, y'all, he asked us if we were a couple. He
Really,
must have
nigga?
been watching us for a minute to come to that conclusion, even though we weren't doing anything specifically romantic. Like, and knowing now what he ended up doing, maybe we should have just said yes, just to get him to leave. But we told the truth. And then he said something to the tune of, "Oh, okay, good, because you never know with those type of people these days." Like as a way to say like, "Oh, okay, we're normal, we're the good ones." So yeah, not only was this guy a slime ball, but it also seemed like he was homophobic too. Just great, right? And then, without warning, he decided to unload a whole bunch of who axed on us, telling us his whole veteran backstory.
You're not that guy, dog. Trust me. Let me tell you, you're not that guy.
I guess to try to impress us. Then he asked our ages and he told us his. I can't remember his exact age since honestly I didn't want to remember anything about this guy. But I think he was close to, if not already in his 40s. And me and my friend, I had to be about 19 at the time, and my friend is only a year older than me, so yeah, dude's literally fucking double our ages. And as you probably could already see where this was going, he started flirting with us, or trying to, anyways. More so with my friend than me, so he was also a color, so I could tell the full package with this guy, right? And not to mention, he was ugly too. His skin, particularly on his face, was all messed up. Like it was sun damaged pretty bad. He didn't have the exact body per se, but his face made him look like an ugly ass version of the thing.
Brother, what's that?
And I'm not really one to go after somebody's looks, but I think I have the right to call this guy ugly since he was a creep, homophobic, and a colorist. So I think that's pretty fair. And I'm going to refer to him as the Thing for the rest of the story. So after the Thing finished flirting with us on the boat, I felt pretty relieved. However, of course, that was not the end of it. At almost every other attraction we went to after that boat ride, the sleazeball would come slithering up to us, smirking, and start chatting us up all over again. I got really annoyed by it, but my friend didn't really seem to mind, for some reason. I tried to get him to leave us alone by first subtly moving into position near the adults over the trip, who also happened to be older men, whenever the Thing came walking up to us. I thought they would do something, but that didn't work. Even when we were right in front of them, they did nothing. I really did think they were going to check them, but nope. Put them in for it, right? And after a time, I just completely checked out. It got to the point where I would notice the Thing come and walk up to us, and then I subsequently would walk away as he chatted up my friend. And they would look over at me periodically too as they were talking. Apparently, my friend just told him I was shy, or maybe he assumed that because that was later brought up when I actually decided not to move later on. And yes, though I actually was shy, it was not for him. Never. I was very disgusted, more like. I never walk away from somebody when they're talking to me, regardless if I'm shy around them or not. Like, do you know how disrespectful that is to walk away from somebody when they're talking to you? Apparently not this guy. Later during the trip, I pulled the last trick out of my hat and got another friend of ours to come over and help us with this guy after I explained the situation to her. But that also didn't work. She just started talking with him too. And if anything, that made things worse because now he had three young chicks to talk to. I was like, damn, am I crazy? Am I the problem? Like, why am I the only one bothered by this? Apparently, everybody else must have just seen him as some guy yapping, I guess. Like he was non threatening to them. But he did make me feel pretty annoyed and uncomfortable for the rest of the trip after he showed up. Towards the end of the trip, we passed in front of this little snack bar area that was at the front entrance. There is a Dippin' Dot station there, and he offered to buy us all some ice cream from Dippin' Dots. Both of my friends agreed to the Dippin' Dots, but not me. I turned my nose to him. I was like, yeah, you can keep that. I don't take ice cream from creeps. He asked me more than once, and I kept saying no, and then he eventually just gave up. Once we got back on the bus, I was telling my friend how he just about ruined the trip for me, and that I hoped I'd never see him again on campus or anywhere. And thank God I didn't. He was completely Thanos snapped out of my reality. Not only have I been in some unwanted, scary situations with people around me, but I also had some experiences without them too. Like the time when, on a completely different field trip, I got left behind in a mummy exhibit. We were in some kind of historical museum. There was a mix of art and artifacts from different periods in time, both past and present. We were getting towards the end of the trip when we reached the mummy, or the Egyptian, I should say, section of the museum. The room was very large and dark, with the only sources of light illuminating the artifacts on display. I was again with the same college program group, except it was just the main section, which I was a part of. And none of my friends were on the field trip, so it was all me this time. Our little organization would stick together as a group, exploring the museum as a group. So when we moved to the next spot, we would all move together. I even took the liberty to look for some stragglers every now and then. who didn't hear when it was time to move on and tell them it was time for us to move to the next section. And you think I'd be given the same grace? You'd be wrong. It happened so fast. Everyone was still together. I was looking at the mummy in the glass case, wondering if it was a real mummy, wondering if I had any Egyptian heritage since my feet matched this foot chart that I saw one time before, wondering if I was related to King Tut and some other silly stuff, and then on some Scooby Doo shit, and I'm Daphne. I turn around and everybody's gone. I was left alone in that big, dark, quiet room. I tried to head back, but I kept getting lost. I was running around in rectangles. I was panicking. I bet there were like secret cameras in there too. And the museum staff were probably watching me and laughing as I ran around like a chicken with its head cut off, constantly missing the exit. I had my phone with me, but not the number of anyone who was over the trip. And coincidentally, no one else came into the Egyptian exhibit after my group left, so I couldn't ask anybody for directions on how to get the hell out of there. I was just stuck in there for like God knows how long. I just had to calm down. And I carefully just walked around slowly until I finally found the exit, which was obscured from my view since this large, like vertical protruding artifact was like blocking it just out of the corner of my eye. When I got out, I saw the group was leaving. They were heading for the bus. I almost got left behind. So, moral of the story is never put me in an escape room because I ain't escaping. Another creepy moment, and the last one I'll tell you for today, since I know this is getting pretty long, happened back on campus. This was that same year the popcorn incident happened, and I was living alone. I was actually supposed to have a roommate, but she dropped out for the semester last minute, and I was never paired up with anybody else. But I actually liked living alone, don't get me wrong. Didn't bother me at all. You know, from all the stuff that went on campus and at home, it was a welcome change. I loved the quiet. However, I still remain cautious even in the apartment. The door to the apartment automatically locks whenever it closes, but I would always close the door to my room and lock it too. You can never be too safe, you know. I hardly got any visitors, but when I did, it was usually just staff coming through to check one thing or another. Or if I personally called them to come fix something like a popped light bulb or a broken faucet, you know, stuff like that. They usually would, and I'm pretty sure they're required to knock and announce who they were by their role if they're coming in and no one answers the door. Just about all the staff that worked in or around the apartments had master cards to get into the apartments and keys to get into the bedrooms and bathrooms. There was no set schedule for when they'd show up either, or for what other than the rare occasions where they'd come and pass by everybody's room to check for a particular issue. And it just so happened that one day, one of my professors for my morning class happened to cancel class for the next day. So I was like, cool, I can get some extra sleep now. So I go to sleep. Here comes the morning. I wake up. I see at the foot of my bed two older men coming into my room. Unannounced, as far as I know. That, you know, I was asleep, so I can't exactly confirm or deny if they did the whole maintenance or, you know, whatever. But that was just very surprising to me. I think I got a little startled, but I didn't scream or anything. Like I said before in previous videos, I'm not a scream queen, and I knew they'd pass randomly. I just didn't expect that to happen that day. I just rubbed my eyes, yawned, and I was like,
Excuse me, what the actual fuck are you doing in my house? Please get the fuck out right now.
good morning. And then they told me the same thing back and that they wanted to check the vents in my bathroom. So I just sat up in my bed and watched them do that, which took no time at all. And then they told me goodbye and have a nice day or whatever and left. When they left, I remember I was thinking like, well, that was weird. And I don't even think they apologized for busting in the room like that on me. I mean, you know, good thing I was naked under them sheets or something. Or just had like anything nasty lying around, you know? I've been in some other shitty situations before too, both on campus and off campus, and something easily could have went wrong all those times, but fortunately for me, nothing bad's ever happened. And I do thank God for that. So yeah, my guess is that I have some kind of heavenly bodyguards. Though I wouldn't mind some bodyguards in the flesh. But anywho, that's all I got for you guys for now. All of this happened while I was in college too. I'm not quite done with these stories as I have a few more that I want to share with you guys. But I don't want to hold you guys up much longer, and I need to get my beauty sleep. So I'm gonna go now. Be safe out there, fam, and remain vigilant always. Bye.